It's a bone-chilling Thanksgiving night in Seattle, 2024, and I'm standing outside my aunt's cedar house, my breath turning to mist in the icy air. My flimsy coat's no match for the wind, and I'm trembling, staring at the soft glow of fairy lights spilling through the windows. Inside, I hear the clink of glasses, the murmur of chatter, my family laughing over their holiday spread. But I'm not part of it. Just moments ago, they kicked me out of the Thanksgiving dinner I'd driven hours to share. All because I dared to speak up, to call out my uncle, the untouchable king of our family, right in front of his big-shot guests. My boots crunch on the frosty driveway as I hug myself against the cold. My phone buzzes in my pocket, and I check it. An email confirming a secret deal, one my family knows nothing about. They think I'm a nobody, a dreamer scraping by in some coffee shop corner. They have no clue I've built something massive, something that's about to turn their world upside down. This is the story of how I took their betrayal and spun it into my victory. They shut me out of their holiday, but by morning they'd be begging for my mercy. So where are you listening from? A snowy city like Seattle, or somewhere warm and bright? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear. And if you've ever felt pushed aside by the people who should have your back, hit that subscribe button. This story's for you. And trust me, the twist up ahead? It's one you won't see coming. That night, standing in the cold, I wasn't just some outcast licking my wounds. I was Elise Harper, 34 years old, and I'd built something my family couldn't even dream of. By day, I'm the founder and CEO of Verdant Ventures, a tech consulting firm that's quietly reshaping the green energy scene across the Pacific Northwest. But to my family, I'm just the reckless one who threw away a real job to chase pipe dreams. They don't know the truth, and I've worked hard to keep it that way. Picture me, dark brown hair tied back in a neat bun, always in tailored blazers or simple sweaters, nothing flashy. I'm not one for small talk or showing off. I'm the kind who listens, plans, and strikes when the moment's right. Years ago, I was a data analyst at a big Seattle tech firm, crunching numbers, keeping my head down. But while others played office politics, I was building something real. My first client was a tiny energy startup, barely surviving. I helped them triple their growth in a year, and that was just the start. I left that corporate job, started Verdant Ventures, and never looked back. Now, my company's name is whispered in boardrooms, but I keep it under wraps, signing deals as Evie Raven to stay out of the spotlight. My family, though, they see a different Elise. To them, I'm still the kid who never quite made it, working odd jobs in some downtown coffee shop. They don't know my real office takes up half a floor in a glass tower overlooking Puget Sound, with a team that calls me boss. Why the secrecy? Because every time I tried to share my wins, they brushed me off. Like last Thanksgiving, when my cousin Nathan smirked across the table, saying, "Still freelancing in that cafe, Elise? When are you getting a real job?" My mom just looked down at her plate, silent as always. My dad, bitter and quiet, didn't even glance up. Nathan's the golden boy, 36, vice president at Harper Tech, my Uncle William's pride and joy. Never mind that he got the job because he's family, not because he's earned it. Harper Tech is my uncle's kingdom, a 30-year-old tech company that used to mean something in Seattle. Uncle William, 58, runs it like a dictator, all charm and arrogance, preaching loyalty over talent. He's the kind of man who'd rather let the company sink than admit he's wrong. Nathan's his mini-me, always flashing his new title or his fiancé's ring, acting like he's the future of the family legacy. Then there's my dad, William's younger brother, who never climbed the ranks like his sibling. He's a retired engineer now, living in William's shadow, and that resentment poisons everything. My mom, Margaret, just tries to keep the peace, always whispering, "Don't upset your uncle, Elise." Growing up, family dinners were a battlefield. William and Nathan on one side, my dad stewing on the other, and me, caught in the middle, always told to stay small, stay safe. They never asked about my work, never visited my so-called coffee shop office. If they had, they'd have seen the truth. Verdant Ventures isn't just a side hustle. It's a powerhouse, closing deals with companies HarperTech can only dream of. But they didn't care to look, and I stopped trying to make them. That Thanksgiving night, though, everything changed. They thought they were humiliating me, kicking me out into the cold. What they didn't know was that I'd been planning for years, waiting for the perfect moment to show them who I really am. So, where are you at right now? Have you ever had to hide your light because your family couldn't handle it? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. And if you're rooting for the underdog, hit subscribe because this story's about to get wild. Walking into my aunt's house that Thanksgiving night in 2024 felt like stepping onto a stage where I'd never been given a script. The place was alive with holiday warmth, crackling logs in the fireplace, the rich smell of roasted turkey, and a long table set with crystal glasses that caught the glow of the chandelier. My family was there, mingling with a handful of Seattle's tech elite, all buzzing about HarperTech's latest big move. I slipped in quietly, hoping maybe, just once, I could fit in. But deep down, I knew better. My cousin Nathan was holding court near the dessert table, his new fiancée draped on his arm, her engagement ring sparkling like it was the main event. He spotted me and grinned, that same smug look he'd had since we were kids. "Well, look who made it," he said, loud enough for heads to turn. "Still hustling in that coffee shop, Elise? Or have you upgraded to, what, a cubicle yet?" A few guests chuckled and my cheeks burned. I forced a smile, but inside I was seething. Nathan wasn't just my cousin. He was the vice president of HarperTech, handed the title by my Uncle William, and he never let anyone forget it. My mom caught my eye from across the room, her face tight with that familiar warning. Don't make a scene. She was always like that, tiptoeing around my uncle's ego to keep the peace. My dad, slumped in a corner with a glass of whiskey, didn't even look up. He'd checked out years ago, worn down by living in his brother's shadow. Then Uncle William swept in, all charisma and polished charm, trailing a couple of suited Elise! He boomed, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "Good to see you, kid." I was just telling these folks I could get you a spot at HarperTech. Data entry. Something steady. You'd like that, right? I froze, my jaw tight. Data entry? I'd closed a deal worth millions with a green energy firm just last week, but to him, I was still the family screw-up. Before I could respond, one of the execs chimed in. "Oh, William, you're too kind, helping out like that." Helping out. Like I was some charity case. I wanted to scream that my company, Verdant Ventures, was outpacing half the firms in this room. But I bit my tongue. Not yet. Dinner dragged on, and the conversation turned to HarperTech's big play, a potential partnership with a mysterious company called Novacor. Uncle William leaned back in his chair, swirling his wine. "This deal's a game changer," he said. "Novacor's the key to pulling HarperTech out of its slump. If we can just get their CEO, Evie Raven, to sit down with us, we're golden." Nathan jumped in, all bravado. "They're playing hard to get, but come on, we're HarperTech. They'll cave eventually." Something snapped in me. I set my fork down, my voice steady but sharp. "From what I hear, HarperTech's not in a position to make demands. Your market share's down 30% in 2 years, and your investors are getting antsy. Novacor's not your savior, it's your last shot." The room went dead silent. Uncle William's wine glass froze halfway to his lips. Nathan's fiancée gasped, and my mom's eyes widened like I'd just set the table on fire. My dad finally looked up, his face a mix of shock and shame. Uncle William's voice was low, dangerous. "What the hell do you know about my business, Elise? You think you can waltz in here with your little side gigs and lecture me?" Nathan piled on, his voice dripping with venom. "She's just embarrassing. Herself, Uncle Will. Probably read some blog and thinks she's a CEO now." A few guests snickered, and that was it. The dam broke. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. "You're right, Nathan," I said, my voice cold. "I'm no CEO. To you. But HarperTech's bleeding out, and you're too busy polishing your title to see it." That's when my dad stood up, his face red. He grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the hallway. "You've gone too far," he hissed. "You're humiliating me in front of William and his friends. Get out. Now." My mom just sat there, her hands twisting in her lap, not saying a word. Nathan leaned back, smirking, and called out, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Elise." I stood in the hallway, my coat in my hands, their laughter echoing behind me. My heart pounded, not from sadness, but from a fire I'd kept buried too long. I pulled my phone out, rereading that email from earlier. It was time. I turned to the closed door and whispered, "You'll regret this. By tomorrow, you'll know exactly who I am. So, tell me, have you ever had a moment where your family just didn't see you, pushed you out when you were ready to shine?" Share it in the comments. I'm all ears. And if you're hooked on this fight for justice, hit that subscribe button. The next part? It's where everything flips. The next morning, I walked into my office at Verdant Ventures before the sun even touched Seattle's skyline. The city was still asleep, but our glass tower overlooking Puget Sound was already humming. My team greeted me with quiet nods, sensing the storm about to break. Last night, my family thought they'd crushed me, tossing me out into the cold, like I was nothing. But today, they'd face the truth. I adjusted my black blazer, smoothed my hair, and settled into my office. A sleek space with floor-to-ceiling windows and a desk carved from reclaimed oak. This was my world, not my aunt's dining room, not their smug holiday table. Here, no one dared tell me I didn't belong. My assistant, Clara, handed me a steaming espresso and a tablet with the day's agenda. "HarperTech's delegation is here," she said, her voice steady but knowing. "Your uncle's been calling all morning trying to push the meeting earlier." I smiled, just a flicker. Let them wait. The HarperTech crew, Uncle William, Nathan, my dad, Nathan's fiancée, and 3 board members, had arrived early, buzzing with nervous energy. They thought they were here to seal a lifeline with Novacor, the mysterious company they believed would save their sinking ship. Clara had them cooling their heels in the conference room, a power move I'd planned down to the second. I took a deep breath, centering myself. No more hiding, no more shrinking to fit their small ideas of me. At exactly 10 a.m., I pushed open the frosted glass doors. The room went still. Uncle William was pacing, his tie loosened. Nathan was whispering to his fiancée, smirking like he owned the place. My dad sat rigid, avoiding my gaze. The board members shuffled papers, impatient. "Excuse me," Uncle William snapped, barely looking at me. "We're here to meet Evie Raven, Verdant's CEO. Where is he?" Nathan snorted, leaning back. "What, you're the receptionist now, Elise? Fetching coffee for the big dogs?" I walked calmly to the head of the table, my heels clicking on the polished floor. "You're meeting Evie Raven," I said, my voice cool and clear. "That's me. Elise Harper, CEO of Verdant Ventures. And Novacor, it's mine. I built it to bring you to this exact moment." The air sucked out of the room. Uncle William's face drained of color. Nathan's smirk vanished, his mouth hanging open. My dad's head snapped up, eyes wide with disbelief. Nathan's fiancée clutched her purse, stammering, "This is a joke, right?" I didn't blink. "Sit down," I said. And they did. Like puppets with cut strings. Clara stepped forward, distributing sleek folders to each of them. I clicked a remote, and the wall lit up with graphs, numbers, and timelines, all spelling out HarperTech's doom. "Let's talk facts," I began, my voice steady but sharp. "HarperTech's market share has plummeted 45% in 2 years. Your capital reserves are gone. You've burned through investor trust with failed projects and outdated tech. Without a miracle, you're 6 months from bankruptcy. Uncle William's face turned crimson. How dare you? These numbers? Where did you get this? I didn't flinch. Verdant's been tracking HarperTech for years. We own 60% of your debt through holding companies you never bothered to trace. Every missed deadline, every bad deal, you were playing my game, and you didn't even know it. I paused, letting it sink in. And NovaCore? It's not your savior, it's my trap, designed to force you here, to this table, on my terms. Nathan laughed, but it was shaky, desperate. No way. NovaCore's international. You're just a freelancer. I leaned forward, my eyes locking on his. I built NovaCore to bleed you dry. Every contract you chased, every meeting you begged for, it was me, pulling the strings. The board members whispered frantically, flipping through the folders. My dad finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Elise, why? Why do this to us? I looked at him, the man who'd thrown me out last night, and felt a pang, but not regret. Because you never saw me, I said. Last night, you let them humiliate me, kick me out for speaking the truth. Today, you listen. I clicked the remote again, and the screen shifted to my terms. This partnership happens my way, I said. First, the entire board resigns. Second, Nathan and his fiancée are out. No more nepotism. HarperTech rebuilds with fresh leadership based on merit, not family ties. Uncle William slammed his fist on the table. This is insanity. You can't do this. I met his glare. I already have. Sign, or HarperTech collapses. Your call. The room erupted. Uncle William shouted about lawsuits, his voice cracking. Nathan begged, Elise, we're family, please. His fiancée sobbed, mascara streaking her face. The board argued, their whispers turning to panic. My dad just stared, like he was seeing me for the first time. Finally, silence fell. Uncle William's shoulders slumped. What are your terms? He asked, defeated. I watched as they signed, one by one, their hands shaking. Nathan's fiancée stormed out, Nathan trailing her, muttering excuses. My dad lingered, his eyes full of something like regret. Elise? He started, but I cut him off. You should go, I said quietly. Clara will show you out. He hesitated, then whispered, I was wrong. I nodded, my voice soft but firm. Yes, you were. When the door closed, I stood alone in the conference room, the weight of it all settling in. They'd underestimated me for years, but now they knew. I wasn't just Elise, the family failure. I was Evie Raven, and I'd just taken their empire. Have. You ever had to prove someone wrong, show them you're more than they thought? Tell me about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you're loving this twist, hit that subscribe button. The fallout's coming, and it's going to hit hard. After they left that conference room, I stood by the window, watching Seattle's skyline glow as the morning sun broke over Puget Sound. The silence was heavy, but it wasn't empty. It was the kind of quiet that comes when you've finally claimed your place in the world. My family thought they'd broken me at Thanksgiving, but I'd just rewritten their story. And mine. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. HarperTech's collapse and my takeover hit the headlines like a lightning strike. Mystery CEO E.V. Raven unmasked, the articles screamed. Elise Harper, the woman who toppled a tech dynasty. Every news outlet wanted an interview, but I let the results speak for themselves. Under my oversight, HarperTech was reborn. I brought in new leadership, people chosen for their talent, not their last name, and within 6 months, the company's value climbed 50%. The empire my Uncle William had fumbled was thriving, but not for him. My family didn't fare so well. Uncle William resigned in disgrace, his threats of lawsuits crumbling when my legal team exposed his mismanagement. He faded from Seattle's tech scene, a king without a crown. Nathan's world unraveled faster. His fiancée left him after he lost his title, and his social media rants about me only dug his grave deeper. Journalists pounced, laying bare how his decisions had tanked HarperTech's projects. He was a cautionary tale now, not a golden boy. My dad took it the hardest. He retired early, unable to face reporting to the daughter he'd dismissed. He sent me a letter, 2 pages of apologies and regrets. But I didn't reply. Some wounds don't heal with words. Then, one rainy afternoon, my mom showed up at my office. She looked out of place in my world of glass and steel, her hands twisting nervously. "Elise," she said, her voice small, "your dad's not himself. The stress, all of this, it's broken him. Nathan's a mess too. The family's falling apart." I kept my voice even. "That's tough, Mom, but business isn't about feelings. HarperTech's recovering because I made hard calls." Her eyes welled up. "I'm not here about the company. I just want to understand. You built all this, and we thought you were struggling. Why didn't you tell us?" I let out a dry laugh. "Tell you? When I landed my first big client, you were toasting Nathan's promotion. When I bought my first firm, you told me to apply for a clerical job. You didn't want to see me." She flinched, tears spilling. "We were wrong, Elise. Can't we fix this?" I looked at her, the woman who'd stayed silent while I was torn down, and felt a strange calm. "HarperTech's fixed," I said. "The family? That's not my fight anymore." Clara showed her out, and I turned back to my work, signing contracts with a steady hand. But healing doesn't always mean cutting ties. A few months later, a message caught my eye. From my cousin Lily, Uncle William's youngest, the only one who'd never mocked me. "I don't want anything," she wrote. "Just wanted to say you inspired me. Watching you take charge gave me the guts to start my own business." For the first time in years, I smiled at a family name on my screen. I called Clara in, set up a lunch with Lily, and look into her startup. I want to invest in real potential. That was the legacy I wanted, not grudges, but possibility. As I signed the last HarperTech restructure papers, I heard my grandmother's voice, something she told me before she passed. "Success isn't about proving them wrong, Elise. It's about proving you're right. For you." She was right. I'd built Verdant Ventures not to spite my family, but to honor the woman I knew I could be. Standing there, watching the city, pulse below, I whispered to myself, "Justice doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stand tall." So, what's your story? Have you ever found strength in proving yourself right, even when no one else believed? Share it in the comments. I'm dying to know. And if this journey hit home, hit that subscribe button. There's more to come, stories of rising above, and I want you along for the ride. This isn't just about winning, it's about knowing your worth and never letting anyone dim your light.